All right, what's up, everybody? I'm live. Um, Waiting to speak with Des Wilford, who is, amongst others, Terence Bud Crawford's strength and conditioning coach, LL Cool J's strength and conditioning coach. Um, Interesting because those of you who've seen me before know I spoke a few times with Blu-ray, who was Errol Spence's strength and conditioning coach. We know that strength and conditioning is real important, um, part of boxer's routine. So it's interesting to see, um, what they have to say, and especially being that these guys are going to fight again, um, most likely at least. It's not signed yet, but it's looking like they're going to fight in December, Bud and Spence. So um, if they fight in December, which it might happen, looks like it will happen. I don't really want to see that fight, but you know, contractual obligations call. So we are probably going to have to see the fight. Hopefully, that fight doesn't mess up Bud's future fights. Um, Meaning, within the time of that fight happening, Crawford Spence 2, Canelo or Charlo. What's up, MRV? Canelo or Charlo could one of them could lose. Canelo could lose. Now, if Canelo loses and Bud fights Charlo, it's still big, but I think it's way bigger if Bud fights Canelo, because even if Charlo beats Canelo, Charlo still won't be at the level where Canelo is, because Canelo's beaten so many world champions, been around so long. So, you know, but we'll see. Marv, you still gonna watch it? I mean, I'm gonna watch it too. I'm not, shit. I'm gonna watch it, but I'm just saying I'm not excited to watch it because I know it's probably not gonna be competitive. As text waiting for you. Okay. So I'm gonna watch it, but when you like, because if you remember, we were about to get Tyson Fury with Anthony Joshua, right? Anthony Joshua at the time had only lost to Ruiz, but I think he then, you know, got his get back, made it right, and beat Ruiz in the rematch, easy. And that fight was signed and ready to happen, but then Wilder pushed that arbitration and triggered that rematch, which nobody really wanted to see. And while the third fight was exciting because Fury went down, really it was way more of a one-sided beating than even the second fight. Fury beat him even worse. He just happened to go down, which made people, because I hear a lot of people being like, "Oh, that was one of the most exciting fights ever." There's Des, but it really wasn't. If you think about it, it was a one-sided ass whooping. Just the difference was Fury happened to go down twice, so there was that drama and that, like, oh shit, he might lose because one more knockdown, he would have been over. Des, my man,
What's up with you, man? How you doing?
how you doing, my man?
I'm good. I'm good. Can you hear me? Am I echoing? I'm good.
You look good.
Man, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. You making me look big on here, man.
So you are where now? What part of the country?
I'm in Omaha, Nebraska.
You're in Omaha. So you're working with Bud right now?
Well, we're not officially together. We gave him a call a couple nights ago. Picked up, said let's get it in, man. He said I have a couple guys we'll get it in with. You know, Steven Nelson. I think he's the NABO champion.
Yeah, I've spoken to
And,
Nelson.
he said we'll be at the gym. I said let's be on time, man. Just be on time. Let's get some work in. We concurred and met down at the gym. B&B is like, man, like we never left one another, man. The energy's still there, man. And it was just good vibes, man. Great vibe, man. Great session. We got it in. Just like I said, never left one another.
So
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
it's okay. How many camps have you done with Bud?
In the past, think we probably in the beginning, from when he was 35, 40, we probably got in like 8 camps. And before the world really knew about him, when we was working in the fields, sneaking into gyms with one another, getting kicked out of gyms, sharing shoes, like I said, meeting in the fields, working out of the trunk, so roughly 8. And then right before then, we were getting it in. Yeah.
Okay. So, do you work with him now every camp, or sometimes you don't?
I don't. I just currently moved back to Omaha. I was out in Denver working and training and things of that nature. And like I said, we would link up from time to time because I would come back to Omaha and clients out here, fitness clients, and I would do work with some of the local athletes. But I'll give him a ring, and he know I was in town. Say, hey, let's get it in a little bit. So still my guy. We good. We're solid. It's like I said, when we get back together, it's just like, I don't know, it's magic. I feel like it's magic, man.
Right. Well, I spoke with Errol Spence's his former strength and conditioning coach, a guy named Blu-ray, and he told me that just for a warm-up, this is just the warm-up, he has him do 700 push-ups.
Yeah, that's go ahead. I'm sorry.
Normal? Is that normal? Tell me what you think about that.
I mean, to each his own. To each his own. I'm looking at it from a performance standpoint. Okay, that's taxing. You're taxing the system. That it's demanding. But I'm looking at my guy. When I'm with guys, I'm usually working with, high level athletes. I'm priming and prepping their body and their mind so that we're working towards a performance. All right, we're gonna build into it. You think about it. Every now and then you get rounds like, was it Sugar Ray and back in there when you get them like that, but we're building into our rounds. We're gonna get it. Is it normal? Depending on what's normal to whom. But for me, I don't train my athletes like that.
Okay.
I build them. I build them into it.
Right. Right.
I'm going to tax their systems, not just physically, but mentally. The anaerobic and I'm gonna tax the anaerobic system because you gotta have it. Then we're gonna work without oxygen. We're gonna push. We're gonna hit the muscles. We're gonna hit strength. We're gonna hit muscle endurance. We're gonna, you gotta have good footwork. You gotta have a strong base. We're gonna hit it all. So Blu-ray does his way, or whomever does that way. At the end of the day, we're looking for results. If he had to do 10,000 push-ups, it's 10,000 push-ups. I'm looking at priming and prepping. I'm gonna start this car. We're gonna rev it up. Man, we're gonna get to the end result. You know what I mean?
Did you work with Bud for the first Spence fight?
I did not. I haven't been around. Like I said, I haven't been around in quite some time. But before that Spence fight, I was sitting on my balcony. It was raining outside, and this is crazy. I was actually watching. It's not 24/7 anymore. What is it now?
All Access.
All Access. Okay, All Access. And I get a FaceTime, and it's Crawford. It's Bud. He's on the treadmill running. Man, we're talking about old times and this and that. I know why he was calling, and I'm glad he called. He wanted to share some of that energy with me.
Right.
I'm an energy guy. He thrives off that energy. Gave him a little bit of that energy, man. We connected real brief. And hey, that's all he needed. So was I in the camp? No. But I feel like I served a purpose when I needed him. I gave him what he needed when he needed it. So I'll take that.
Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Hopkinsville, Kentucky, man. I'm in Western Kentucky. So yeah,
and that's where you grew up.
Grew up, born and raised, man. Born and raised, Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
How far is that from Louisville?
Man, I'm closer to Nashville than I am my major cities of Lexington, Louisville. Louisville about 2.5, somewhere along in there.
Because the people watching, Louisville produced possibly the greatest fighter of all time, Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that. Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
So, okay. So, do you think you'll be working with Bud for this next Spence fight?
I'm thinking things possible. If Bud gives me a call and say, let's sit down and talk, let's get to it. Let's get to the work. Let's get to the work. I don't want to claim anything or put anything out there that's not true. Crawford is my first fighter that I ever worked with, like boxer that I ever worked with. And when I look back, going in, I remember his coach would always say, Coach Saul, Shouts out to Coach Saul. He said, "Man, we're going to be world champion right here." I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know anything about that. Only thing I knew about was grinding. Back then. I didn't even know how to put a workout together.
Right.
Only thing I know, I had energy and I knew how to work, and he fed off of that. So that's he was looking for work. I was looking for work. Didn't even know what I was up against, man. And then,
Well,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, finish your thought.
Just saying, and we had something special back at 135 when he was, man, we're just grinding to make weight, man. We're just grinding to make weight. And I was there with him step for step. And, some days, and we'll be in camp or just working, it's like, man, it's tough. But he had to go through that. And it felt, when I look back, being a part of that helped build me as a professional. Right. We never, we sit and talk every now and then, but I'm very grateful that shouts out to Bernie the boxer as well. That Bernie, he came down, I was at the barbershop one day. He said, "Man, I got somebody for you." They know I was into fitness and things like that. He brought Bud to me. We met. We outside the barbershop. He used to wrestle a little bit, and I'm a former wrestler as well. And he grabbed a hold of me. We talk a little bit, wrestle around. Next thing you know, man, we got to it. We met up, gave a time. He showed up on time. I showed up on time, got some work in, talk a little trash. That's how we got down, man. That's how we got down. We music together, good music.
Okay. So what would you say that Bud does differently or not differently? Where would you say Bud excels more than, or excels in general, in terms of strength and conditioning when you work with him? Is there anything you see from him that you're like, wow?
What I like about it, he won't back down. He won't back down. He's gonna embrace the grind. He's gonna embrace the grind. I'm sorry. So, like, even when it gets tough, even if he slows down and you have to breathe a little bit, he's not gonna stop. He's gonna embrace that. He's gonna get through it. And that's what I like. You think about, in a fight, you still have to find somewhere to breathe, somewhere to rest. Even in the strength and conditioning, I like to call it performance work, because I'm building towards the performance. You got to find somewhere to breathe. He's not going to back down, and I like that. I feed off of that. While he's feeding off of me, I'm feeding off him. That's what I do. I never told him that, but we're having this conversation. I know you saw the picture that we posted, and like I said, I never want to overstep my boundaries as a professional. However, this is written right here. It's documented. We were in the lab together. We can't deny that. I said, when we're together, we're together.
Right. So have you worked with other boxers?
Well, Alicia Baumgartner.
Oh.
So I spent a little bit of time with her, maybe a month, when she was before the fight with was it Meyer?
The last, Meyer, right?
When she went over and unified and won all the belts.
Yep.
So her coach at the time, shouts out to Brother Fareed, man. I think he's currently out in Las Vegas. I want to give a big shout out to him. Always try to keep me in the loop. He brought her out and gave me a shot to work with her. I would work with her 2 or 3 times a week, and we had a good run for a month working with her. So that was good. That's help to prime and prep. I'm all about priming and prepping, implementing, the way I do things. So hopefully I'll leave a little piece of me in that fighter. So when they're going, my motto, the work's never done.
Right.
Yeah. People are saying that you can outwork the work. You can't outwork the work. There's always something to be done, man.
Right. So okay. So I used to be a fighter, right? And since I was 13, young, I did it, a long time, amateur, pro. Obviously I wasn't at the level of Bud or any of those guys. But my point is, being a boxer, whenever I would do anything else athletic, basketball, whatever, I never got tired.
Right.
So my question to you is, do you think, or do you see that fighters have a baseline where they're already, their wind is way higher, their endurance is way higher, and you got to dig even deeper and push harder to get them to a level where you wouldn't have to go as hard to push another athlete at?
I find that to be true. Even I come from a wrestling background. It's mano a mano. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's more of the physical demands are there. It's very taxing on the body. But you got to dig in. Got to have something upstairs. So to answer your question, absolutely. And I know there's a lot of guys, science-based, this and that. but I'm looking for guys who have been there. So you, for an example, being a former fighter. So if I was a fighter, you would know by looking at them as a professional, as another professional, when to push, when to pull, when to push just a little bit more to get that extra. So absolutely, I believe there's something there within, a fighter. You
Right.
have to be able to see it. You got to be able to gauge it.
Right.
You gotta know the people that you're working with. You can get another one. You can get another one.
Right.
You can get another one. Let's win this round. Win the championship rounds now, champ. Shit, what's gonna separate you and them? We all doing the same thing. It's just how we do it. So
How important do you think strength and conditioning is for a fighter specifically?
I think it's important. I think it's very important. The reason I say that is, you think about the only way you get better at fighting is fighting. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah.
You're working on those skills, the heavy bag, the mid studying,
Mm-hmm.
you in there sparring. The only way you get better, shadow boxing, that's the only way you get better.
Right.
However, once again, if I can tax your system, putting your body in good position, so good position, attacking you, getting you very, very uncomfortable. So when you're faced with that, it's not foreign. You have something to pull from. If
Right.
that makes sense.
Right. It does. It does. Real quick, big shout to my man Drew. Thank you. He says, for the grind, NYC in this thing. Drew's a fellow New Yorker. Good to see you. Drew's my man. He has everybody watching. Go subscribe to Drew Titan. He has his own boxing show. New York's in the building. That's all I got to say about that one. Again, much respect, much love. Thank you, Drew. Okay, so would you say that Bud specifically has more willpower than most other athletes, or would you say that everybody is kind of on the same level? Or, because I feel like boxers, in my opinion, maybe I'm just biased because I was a fighter, but I feel like our willpower, what we go through, like when you feel like you're about to throw up and you got somebody trying to take your head off and you can't breathe, and it just takes you to a different level of being able to push yourself.
Listen. I've worked with athletes from a novice to a Hall of Fame level. All right, ranging in all sports. All right, and Crawford, the time that I spent with him, I sit back sometime and just reflect. He's probably, if not the hardest working athlete, professional athlete that I've had an opportunity to work with and work for.
Wow.
Let me just be honest.
Wow.
I'll be honest. It's a grind, and he accept the grind. Some days we used to get up, he'd be in a mood, whatever. But once he get going, he get going.
That's how it is, man. And you know this. I think personally, it's those endorphins. Once those start getting released, you feel great, and you'll just keep going.
Yeah. Every day is not going to be a good day.
No.
I always tell them, the good ones find a way to get it done. You just got to get started. You got to get started. And that's the thing. You got to get started.
Yeah.
So I will say that wrestling, boxing, very, very, very difficult. Mono and mono. You gotta be a little crazy. You gotta be a little delusional to excel in these sports like that.
Right.
Delusional,
So you're absolutely right. You got to be, it's a different level, because I don't think the brain is meant to be in that fight or flight, that fight state constant. When you're a fighter, your brain has to be switched on to fight all the time, and it's very taxing. So would you say about you? We hear all of these claims of how Bud is unbelievably strong for his size, and have you seen that? Have you seen that for his size, his strength level is very high?
Well, I know personally. Like I said, he would grab me from time to time, and we grapple a little bit. I got a little edge on him, but he's extremely physically strong. So not just from lifting up. You see him, when he's working with his other coach, his other strength coach, where he's picking up, I don't know, 400 plus pounds on the deadlift. before then, he was already extremely strong. That just shows that he can pick up 400 pounds. He's physically strong. He's physically strong, in different positions.
Now,
So,
haven't you learned, because I learned this, strength, physical strength doesn't always, as a matter of fact, maybe a lot of time doesn't translate to punching power. Would you agree?
yeah, we used to talk about that. I remember a conversation we had. Sometimes would you agree or disagree? Either you have it or you don't.
Punching power.
Absolutely.
But you could teach punching power a little bit in my experience, because anybody who gets their leverage behind their shot is going to hit a little harder.
Yes, but going in and lift, people have a misconception just because you push more weight, that means you're going to get hit harder. That's not true.
No,
that's not true. But through the technique, the technique and the leverage down on your punches, like you just stated, just to reiterate that, from my time being around boxing and being in the game and learning from some of the top professionals in the game at some point, I find that to be very true.
Right. Is there anything that you do to increase punching power with strength and conditioning? Is there anything you can do?
Man, I don't. I have a way of adjustments. Once I get the client and get a feel for once we do the consultation, I get a base. I have a base. My job is to develop and enhance that client's abilities to my best abilities, and we talked about it. If you don't have the punching power, you don't have it. So if I can make you stronger, through your base, if I can have you move better laterally, backwards, laterally, backwards, going frontwards, I can do your hips. I can help you a little bit more range of motion. I can help your posterior chain, your back, trunk, torque through your trunk. That's what I'm working on. So I hope I answered your question, but if I can help build that athlete from the feet up, and it only takes one. It only takes one punch.
Right.
It only takes one.
Exactly. Here, my man Drew says you could bench press 400 pounds, but can't crack an egg in the boxing ring, and that is absolutely true.
I agree. Shit.
That is absolutely true. I've been in there with dudes who are well bigger than me, well more muscular, and I've been physically stronger. Like in the clinches, I'll push them off, and I'll be like, wow. Because really, what is muscle? It's just more blood flow going to that area.
The more muscle you have, the more oxygen it takes to fuel those muscles.
That's why Anthony Joshua, you know who he is, right? That's why he probably gets winded so easily.
Yeah, and you got to train extra hard. I'm not against the weight room. I like it all. But I understand from even my days competing, I was a muscular guy. And man, some dudes would jump on my butt, and I'd be like, "Damn, you ever gonna get off me?" Because hey, it makes a difference. You don't have the skill. Skill pays the bill. Then even if you will, and this person's more skilled, more conditioned, and they willing to go where you're not willing to go, that muscle, it looks good. It's like having a Mustang, right? It's like having a Mustang without a good engine.
Right. And
it just looks good.
Right, exactly. It's all superficial. So, I mean, I've heard, and tell me if you agree with this, that heavy lifting is bad for boxing because it slows down your speed, it makes you bulky, it affects throwing punches negatively, heavy lifting. Is that true?
Well, you look at it, you have different body types.
Okay.
All right, for an example. What are you? How tall are you?
I'm about 5'11".
5'11". You're slender, I can tell, right?
Yeah, 165.
All right, 165. You're probably not going to bulk up. That's not going to happen. All right? You're not going to get that's your ectomorph. You're long and lean, all right?
Okay.
I can get you stronger. Probably pack a little bit of muscle. But I do find this to be true. I put heavy, just say we're doing a back squat. Put a big old heavy back squat on you. You're going down real slow, coming up real slow. To me, that's counterproductive. I'd rather, okay, we're still talking back squat. I would rather take that weight off, limit it, all right? Have you going down, exploding up, down, exploding up. You know what I'm saying? Then offset you with some type of dynamic functional movement, what I consider functional. People will argue back and forth. What's functional? Functional to what we're doing. All right.
Right.
So to answer your question, I believe, this is just me, I believe lifting heavy weights can slow you down and tighten you up just a little bit. Because you think about it, how many people want to stretch? Not a lot of them.
I mean, once I passed 25, I had to stretch because my muscle would no longer allow me not to.
So let's go back. Go back when you was talking about shout out to Ray. I don't know the person, but shout out to. He's talking about that 700 push-ups. So he's doing that 700 push-ups. I'm taking my athletes. We're stretching from anywhere from 8 to 12 minutes.
So that's what I was going to ask. If you can share whatever you can share, like what's a normal kind of workout for the day under your strength and conditioning routine for a fighter?
It varies, but I just give you a base. We'll always start off with a dynamic warm-up, always, depending on.
What's that mean, dynamic warm-up?
Think about this. All right, boxing, you understand. You got your front step, back step, side step, you're pivoting, moving, loading hips. So dynamically, I'm putting you in position, stretching your muscles, putting you in those patterns that you're going to be performing that day. Dynamic.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Got you. Yep.
So like a little circuit work. I put circuits together depending on what we're doing. Sometimes I put you in a stance, emulating the snap on the jab, turning the punch over, offset it with some power, some trunk rotation. Put you in a good position. I like that trunk roll coming through the trunk. Boom, you got to turn them. You got to turn those punches. You know what I mean? So I may go through that 2 to 3 times, put a little something on it, just throwing it out, okay? Legs, you have to have legs. Your legs, you have to have them. Offset them, whether it's just say a goblet squat into, say that I love the resistance bands. Okay. I may go into a lateral resistance band, give you several of those down and back, hands up, pushing off the balls of your feet, down and back, going both sides so it's even, equal. Just a little taste. That's just a little taste of what it may look like in the beginning. And I'll build from there,
Okay.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Right. And you had told me earlier you also work with LL Cool J, right?
Yeah, I did a little work with Todd Smith, a.k.a. LL Cool J.
Now, I heard Todd Smith got some hands. Can he throw some punches?
He can throw some punches. Yeah. We work some mitts. We here.
Did you? Okay, so you do mitts as well.
Yeah. I know a little bit.
Ooh, okay. And have you worked mitts with Bud?
Yeah. I work mitts with Bud. That's my guy, man. I mean, that's my guy. He's taught me a lot. And we work mitts together with one another. So we get
LL Cool J is a strong dude, right?
Very strong. Very strong.
How tall is he?
What, 6'2", 6'2.5", something.
Damn,
like
he's that tall, huh?
Yeah. So I got an opportunity to work with him. I'll give a shout out. I'd like to give shouts out and credit where credit's due. My mentor, Tim Grover, renowned strength and conditioning coach. Back in the day, he was a pioneer in the game with bringing it into the NBA with Michael Jordan. That's one of my mentors. I had an opportunity to intern under him, and he gave a call. Well, I said about 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. Okay. Put it on the table, man. Got on the phone call with actually, let me retract, a Zoom call with Todd, and talk. Energy was good. He loves boxing, man. He loves that boxing.
I know.
And went well, man. So fast forward, got me on the team, and 50 years of hip hop. He hadn't been on tour for 30 years. He had different venues and ventures into the acting and other things, and was getting his body in shape. So he needed someone with energy. And I told him, man, we're gonna be dynamic. I told him, you're an athlete. He said, no, I'm athletic. I said, okay, I respect that. Okay. Like I said, he's a performer. He's a performer. Gives energy. So we got him moving. He moves. If you go pull up the way he does things, he's out there moving. He's giving the crowd, has them engaged. He's feeding off them. He's giving a lot. So, we put it together, man. A lot of metabolic training, compound movements, stretching. Once again, I'm going to go back to that term, dynamic stretching, warming up. But, man, it was a good time. It was a real good time. it's a very unique experience.
So okay, yeah, man. I mean, shit, that's great. So we were talking before about the routine for somebody like Bud at that, and we're talking now the highest level of boxing. How many days a week would somebody like him do strength and conditioning training?
I think when we were in the lab together, we were doing 2 to 3 days, depending.
And
You
how
know,
long would each session be?
and you're looking at about an hour 15, somewhere along in there. Because
Okay.
they were intense sessions, very intense.
Would he after that jump right into his boxing training, or he'd come back later? Do you know?
No, we'll go back, get some food, rest up,
Chill, right?
then we'll go back to the boxing gym, So, and I don't, like I said, I don't think things have changed, maybe enhanced a little bit, but they put it like this: he had a system that we bought into that I feel is second to none. I still use it. I still implement a lot of the things that we did when we were together, still today in my regimens. Even with my general population clients, I have a lot of my general population clients who love the boxing work. It's a great fitness workout, great fitness workout. And I even use some of the techniques and the regimens that we used to use. But yeah, so that's what it would look like.
Okay. Now when you watched him fight Spence, now Bud himself said that he was surprised at how easy it was. Were you surprised at how easy that fight turned out to be?
Honestly, he might try to slap me in the back of my head when he sees me, but it's all good. And I've told him this myself. I was kind of nervous for that fight. I thought Spence would pose would be a better fight. It would be a better fight. On paper, he was coming in, and I thought he would be strong in positions. But hey, I got to give a shout out to the whole team Crawford, man. It was like a masterpiece. Listening to the coach's coach in the corner, the way he received the information, where he would go out and put the game plan together, the way he was moving. He was picking his spots. He looked very, very strong. I mean, it was a masterpiece. So I'm gonna keep it real. I was a little nervous, and after that first round, but picked the spot. It's over. I knew it was over.
Yeah.
I knew it was over.
Do you
go ahead?
Oh, my bad. Do you think, because I spoke with Blu-ray, now Blu-ray did not train Errol for this Crawford fight. He did not. Blu-ray thought that he saw some strength and conditioning issues with Errol. Did you see, do you think a better strength and conditioning routine or something different would have helped Errol, or do you think it had nothing to do with his strength and conditioning?
Man, Bud was home, man.
Yeah, he was.
But I don't care if Errol Spence had me that night. Bud was home, man. Like I said, it was a masterpiece. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He was home. He was on. I mean, he was on.
I mean, they're talking about the rematch. It seems like it's going to happen. I don't think there's a need for it. I mean, do you think there's even a need for? If it wasn't for the contract, do you think there's a need for that rematch?
If it was not for the contract, no, I don't think so. But I also look at it like, okay, how will they make this thing happen on whichever side, which party? Run it back. Say it was hard for him to make 47. B. Croft said it was hard for him making 47. At 54, it won't be for all the marbles, but because they unified at 47, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Run it back. Go bump.
Well,
I don't, unless they make some type of drastic changes, I see the same thing happen. I'm kind of biased, but I see the same thing.
No, I mean, it's not even biased because you can't see that fight and not see the same thing happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't, because a lot of people talked about possible things that EJ Spence had wrong with him. And I'm just like, if the fight was close, any little hiccups he might have had in training camp might make a difference in the rematch to correct it. But when the fight is so lopsided, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
So Bud is openly talked about going up to fight Canelo at 68. Do you know what Bud walks around at? when he's not trying to make
Oh,
47?
man, we got some work in the other day, man. He look kind of big, you know. He's like sort of like you. He has that ectomorph, you know. He's long. I mean, he has long limbs, and you know, he's strong. You can see the definition. You can see he has a little bit more muscle. He's not gonna walk around real. He's not gonna get bulky. You know, he's not gonna get, but he's strong. You understand? So I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. Finish what you're saying. I'm sorry.
If I had to guess, I know I saw a post the other day. He said he was like 180.
That's what he said. Yeah.
I'm just being. I didn't see 180. Probably 170, somewhere in there. If I had to guess, I didn't think he was 180. We didn't do much talking. You know, we dived up. We got to the business, man. Let's get to it. We got to it. Jim was smoking hot with some good music on. Hey, man, it was time to get to it. He came in focused. I don't know if he was excited to see me, but I was excited to see him get some work. Man, we weren't doing a bunch of talking, man. Let's get to it, man.
It's work.
You know what I'm saying? I was hey, the work's never done. That's our motto, man. Work time.
So how do you see now this is assuming Canelo beats Charlo, which I think would have to be I would lean definitely towards Canelo, although Charlo does have a great chance. Do you think Bud naturally can hold that 168 and be strong and be at that level at 168? Because he's strong for 147, but does that automatically translate to him being strong at 168?
I've seen him spar bigger guys and do very, very well. I don't know. Have I seen him spar a guy that's Canelo's, at Canelo's level at that weight? I mean, at that skill set. But I've seen him hold his own. And once again, like I said, he's very, very strong. May not look like it's very strong, right? And he's a master boxer. I believe, this is what I believe. I've said this to a couple friends, and they laugh. Right. I said from 147, I don't think we should fight him at 168. Catch weighting. All right, if we get him at a catch weight, we take it. From 147 to like 160, whatever we can catch weight him at, I don't see anyone beating Crawford unless they catch him with something.
But Crawford has had, I mean, he said himself, right? It's been a little bit of a struggle to make 47, correct?
Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. If it made sense and he had to make 147, he'll find it. I'm telling you what I know. Right. He always told me, Dez, I'm gonna make that weight. I'm gonna make that weight. And he never got made weight. Right. If he had to and it made sense, and he had to put his family, his team, and Omaha on his back, he gonna make that weight if it makes sense and that's what he want to do. I know him that well enough. As I said, we've been apart for a while, but some things don't change, man. It's innate, you know?
Yep.
So I'm just telling you, this is just me, my professional opinion. But they say, who is this guy? It's my professional opinion.
Sure.
So I believe from 147 to 160 catch weight with Canelo, whatever the numbers are. I know Canelo's the bigger, stronger fighter. If that's something he's really, really entertaining, I don't know if he's really entertaining that. In his mind, if he puts it in his mind, he's a stubborn son of a gun. If he believes he can do it, he'll find a way to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, Canelo stated pretty clearly that he will not go past under 168. So I think the fight would have to be at 68.
Well, that's for the people in the suits and everyone to figure out. I'm just here giving my opinion, man.
Yeah.
That's just what I believe.
Right. So, and there's nobody else. There's no other fighters. Is there anybody that you have in the midst? That's somebody that you're gonna work with coming up?
No, I don't. Like I said, been doing the fitness thing. Working with my general population clients, developing young talent, football, basketball kids, man, teaching them for what I consider to be the right way. Because, nowadays it's just give. There's really no foundation. And when these kids get to a certain level, it's like they get hit in the head when they run into coaches like myself that's going to hold them accountable. Just being honest, man. Did someone hold you accountable?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's obsolete now. So I shouldn't say all the way, because there's people still doing it at a very high level. I'm not the only one. You're not the only one, but
Right.
I take pride in developing these young people, man. Because
how old are you, Des?
47 on a good day.
We're the same age. I'm about to be 47 myself. So this is something I've realized, and I'm gonna tell you my theory, and you tell me if I'm right. As when I was in my teens, I started fighting at 13, teens and even 20s. If I didn't exercise at least once a week, then the very next time I went and boxing was all I did, I would be sore from head to toe. But as I got in my 30s and 40s, if I don't exercise, I don't get sore. It would take me a month now before I get sore. So my theory is two things: muscle memory, and as you get older, your muscles become more elastic, less tense and tight, so they don't tear as easily. So that's why I don't get sore. Can you explain to me why I'm in my 40s and I don't get sore nearly as easily as I did in my 20s and teens?
So what I would say about that is, and you think about this, when we're younger, your body, it recovers a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree? And back, years ago, it was very demanding and taxing. The coaches would just push you through it. And, you believe in your coach, you run through the wall, you're not hurt, you keep going, you break down your muscle fibers, and, you can bounce back. Get a little older, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. But I do believe a body in motion stays in motion, if that makes sense.
Okay.
That makes sense. So if we're going through, I like to look at it, all the components of fitness. You have muscle strength, muscle endurance, cardiovascular respiratory, flexibility, which makes the overall body composition. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So with that being said, if you are attacking your body in that capacity, like you said, 2, 3, 4 times a week, your body's going to respond. That's just what I believe. But if you're just going in once every blue moon, lifting real heavy, or you run real hard, man, my quads or my hip flexors tight, my feet hurt, you're not going to want to do that. Your body's not going to respond. So once again, I just truly believe it's a lifestyle, and your body reacts to what you give it. It's a consistent. You got to be committed to it. You got to have a level of discipline, right? So I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, I guess my question was, do you lose elasticity in your muscles as you get older, just naturally, no matter what you do? Just age does that.
Okay. I believe that. I also believe that to be true, because you think about this. One of the first things that go is what? Your conditioning, then your flexibility, right?
I guess. I don't know.
Well, your strength, what they call old man strength, of just talking like we talk. So I believe that to be true. If you don't continue to work on it, you're stretching, elasticity through the muscles. Yeah, I believe that to be true. I truly believe that to be true. Most people you talk to, like you said, they get, 30s, going into your 40s. Man, I'm so tight. Because no one takes the time to stretch. Even stretching, you're going to lose a little bit of it, So I believe that to be true.
Yeah, man.
I want to do a little bit more research on that, and I'll just give you a call and see what the experts and scientists say. But I do believe that to be true.
Check it out, because my theory is that the muscles become less elastic as you get older, which is normal. So a tear, being sore, are little micro tears, right?
Yes.
In your muscles.
Yes.
So it just stands to make sense that if the muscle is less tight and elastic, it won't tear as easily.
Right.
That's what I think, because I'm telling you, man, when I was younger, if I didn't go to the gym 3 times a week minimum, I will get sore if I didn't go 3 times a week. Now I could go every 2 weeks and I won't get sore, and nothing's changed except
you don't think it was the demand of the workload that
No, because I would do the same, and back then I would get tight. Well, how sometimes you get tight and you can't turn your neck. Like, I would get all this shit happening back then that is so much less common now. And I exercise just as much. The only difference now is I don't really spar anymore and I don't fight anymore. but I still hit all the bags and do all the other stuff almost just as much.
I got you. Let me do a little bit of research on that, you know, and see what the scientists and the experts.
Yeah. That was my theory, at least with myself. But
well, you know, there's nothing wrong with theory. You know, I always look at it, I say theory versus practical application, applied knowledge, you know. So you have a theory and you go out and test it. So it's like an opinion and an example. You get what I'm saying?
There you go.
You can give me this an opinion, but when you actually going out and displaying, and you can give me an example. So you've been through it. So that's your theory. So I just want to have your personal contact. I can reach out to you once I do a little bit.
Do it. Yeah. I always thought that was, I didn't realize as I got older, I started being like, damn, like, you know, this muscle memory thing is real. And then, you know, but, well, look, man, I appreciate you talking to me. Before we go, why don't you please let the people know where they could find you if anybody wants to hit you up for training or whatever. There's a website or a Instagram or whatever you got.
Be best to just hit me on my Instagram at Des Wilford, just like it is @DesWilford, fitness coach, sports performance coach, health and wellness, man. I'm all about energy, man. Energy never lies, and results that all that matters. You know, IST, that's me, and TIT sports training. The work's never done. I hear people say I'm outwork. You can't outwork the work. There's always something to be done. Some details, whatever it is. It's some work that needs to be done, man. There's always a little bit of work, you know. So that's me, man. At Dez Wilford, I'm easy to find if you want to grind. Yeah, I'm your guy, Mr. 4. I'd say I'm Mr. 4 to 8 weeks. You want it done? Call me. I get it done.
4 to 8. There we go.
You hear me? I'm gonna leave you with this. I'm gonna tell you like my sister said. She said, "Rain, sleet, snow. Coach Dez gonna go. If it's hot outside, turn it up some more." You hear me? We're gonna get it, baby. That's how we get it. All day. You hear me?
It was good talking to you. I hope you come in for this next camp full throttle, and let's talk again soon. It was fun.
Man, let's get to it, man. I appreciate the shout out. And like I said, man, I love your energy.
Thank you, man.
Hope I answered the questions. I answered them thoroughly as possible. And let's keep it moving, man. Hopefully when I'm in New York next time, I can stop by.
Absolutely.
You know, I would love to stop by and meet you personally.
Absolutely. So, yeah. Hit me for sure.
All right.
All right, man. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Peace out.
Peace.